Joseph Chalil, a geopolitical expert. Thanks so much, sir, for connecting with us. How do you look at this entire situation? Because Donald Trump has elaborated on what really happened at that event, also who the shooter could be, not sure what the motive is. But this is not the first time that such an incident has happened in the history of the United States. He also elaborated on what really happened 2 years back in Pennsylvania as well. Your take on this?
Good evening, and it's a great day for America because President Trump is safe, and he has shown courage after coming back, even after an assassination attempt, third time on his life. Again, we had in Butler, Pennsylvania, and then in Palm Beach, where I'm right now based out of, and this happened in a hotel, the Washington DC Hilton, which is a 10-minute walk from White House. I have stayed there multiple times, and this is the same hotel where President Reagan was shot 40 years ago in the 1981 by a person named Mr. Hintley. So, you know, there's a nickname for this hotel called Hintley Hilton as well. So it's unfortunate that the event happened, that someone's able to breach the security perimeter. Again, they weren't able to get into the ballroom, but at least into the vicinity of the ballroom and shoot at a police officer. So what you can clearly see, the courage of the president, even minutes after an assassination attempt, he came back and he was openly taking questions and no restrictions. Everybody was asking, multiple questions, and he was making jokes about it. So this is a man who wants to change the country, and he's doing it for the country. And at this point, we are all thankful that everybody is safe and no one's hurt.
Absolutely. And US President Donald Trump also spoke about the shooter as well. He called him sick, whack and crazy, saying that he could be lone wolf. But what that really tells you about the motive, the timing as well, because this is happening in the backdrop of the Iran war. Though Donald Trump has ruled out the possibility, any link with the Iran war, what do you think the motive could be?
Again, if people who realize what President Trump is doing, the fundamental changes he is currently changing in the U.S. Government, with thousands, if not, most presidents do maybe, 10 or 60 or 70 executive orders. He has done hundreds of it already. So I would say when we go back and look at this 5 years, 10 years from now, we will see, whether you like him or not, President Trump will be the most consequential president in the U.S. history, one of the most consequential president. So that also creates uncertainty among even before he became president. In Butler, Pennsylvania, they tried to assassinate him, and he was, barely escaped. He was shot in the ear, and he was even after getting shot, he was getting up and saying, "Fight, fight, fight." So the guy, we need to give him credit for what, his guts, his gift. He thanked God for saving his life, and he believes he has a purpose in this life to make changes in this world.
Absolutely, because you spoke about the Pennsylvania incident. On July 13, 2024, 2 years back, he was shot at in his ear. He was saved, but that also happened 2 years ago. That was before the presidential election. I'll come back to you, Dr. Joseph, once again. Let me get in a word from my colleague Mayank, who's been tracking all the details. Mayank, the president elaborated on the shooter in this case, what this incident has happened in the history of the United States. But let's go back to what really happened 2 years back in 2024 in Pennsylvania, when Donald Trump came under attack for the first time. That time, just before the presidential election, he garnered a lot of sympathy, and he went on to win the elections and as well and become the president of the United States. So this time around, 2 years later, do you think he will once again gain sympathy, because this is also happening just ahead of the midterm elections there in November? Or do you think this will turn into a political flashpoint in US?
Again, I don't know if it's going to impact the midterm elections because it's too far away. We have so much conflict going on, especially with the war in Iran. First time in the history after several years, we have 3 battleship groups are assembling near Straits of Hormuz for Iran. So we would have some sort of, again, I've been a vocal supporter of the strategy of the blockade. which I believe it's working, and the Kharg Island oil tanks are full of crude. So that's I think the Iran war is most likely not connected to this. Again, I don't know, but again, any attempt on the American president will unify the American people. There will be sympathy, but again, how it impact a midterm election may not. We don't know for sure. But the best thing is we can clearly show this president have shown courage over and over again at the time of of scares and when people are trying to kill him. It takes a lot of guts to come back to White House, to the correspondence meeting, to the press club, press room, and to ask any question, answer any questions they have without, showing no fear, no remorse, because I don't think we clearly know, is it really a lone wolf? Is it a coordinated attack? But, showing courage, I think it goes a long way. It clearly shows to American people, President Trump mean business, and he is here, not for himself. He clearly said he was comparing a life of a president to the life of a race car driver, to the life of a bull rider, saying that it is a lot unsafe to be a president. 5.8% of presidents get shot or get killed, as opposed to a very minute fraction of all these race car drivers.
Right.
So this president you have to give it to him. He has guts.
There does appear to be a safety security lapse somewhere. If this man with a shotgun could come as close to the screening area, and this is the door right before the president was there inside the ballroom. Tell us a bit about the ballroom as well, if you could, about how I believe that it is subterranean, which is why one would have expected greater security measures put in place, especially tonight.
Yes, that is correct. In fact, this White House, again, nearby Hotel Hilton is very nearby. And as you said, there's previous incidents happened 40 years ago with President Ronald Reagan in the same hotel. Again, it's on the street side, even though there is blockades available. But even with the blockades, if you are a guest at the hotel, as this guy was, first of all, a lot of levels of failure from intelligence in learning that there is a potential risk. I was told there have been warnings to the president and to the Correspondents Association regarding this event, and they chose to go ahead with it, even with security threats. But having intelligence failure, having the perimeters breached, outside perimeter breached, even though again they were not able to come downstairs to the basement level. At least in the entrance, having long gun, as the previous speaker just mentioned, and along with the handgun and multiple knives, as I was told, yes. Even to a crazy guy, it doesn't look like he's a trained assassin or a trained military, trained individual. To able to do this is shameful. At the same time, we should also look into why there is DHS failures could happen, because the Secret Service agents who are currently protecting the president are currently not paid for, so they don't receive their salary. There is Democrats have blocked. There is a shutdown of the Homeland Security Department in the U.S. So while the U.S. is at war in a different outside in Middle East, we are not protecting our own. So recently the TSA agents, which are protecting the airports, are just being paid, but the Secret Service, the other Homeland Security functions, the people who are supposed to be protecting the homeland, are not getting their paychecks. So, and then President Trump also mentioned, if we had a ballroom which he wants to build inside the White House perimeter, this wouldn't have happened, because as you know, the White House has multiple checkpoints, multiple layers of security. Nobody walks in anywhere with anything similar to this without having background checked, without having your body patted down. So would it have been safer if we had a White House ballroom where this event was happening? But the point remains, I think the country should come together. We should pay the people in the Homeland Security. We should stop the shutdown of DHS funding and come together. And thank God the president is safe.